Hey bestie, and welcome back to this episode of the Plobcast. Just a friendly reminder, as always, this podcast is not for little ears. Not for little ears at all. I just want to start off by asking, what the hell is in the water? What the hell is in the water that is making these people act like this? Because I had a very interesting encounter with a plob online that was trying to promote bestiality this week, and I still can't. I'm never going to be able to process what the hell is wrong with people that makes them do disgusting things like that. But it was the way they were defending them that blew my mind. So if you've not seen the video with the screenshots, I had an interaction with a very interesting plob this week. I also apologize if there's a lot more pauses in this than regular. I had a personal close friend that had a little bit of a medical emergency, so her children over at my house. Don't worry, they are in, the little ears are in the other room, but I can still hear them from here. They can't hear me, but I sure can hear them. So I do apologize if I'm having to take a lot of breaks. It's just the loudness coming from the other room. And for those of you who are asking for an update on my husband's car wreck, he is home now. It's just going to be a very long recovery process, as we talked about in the last podcast. Just a lot going on. So we have a lot happening at once. That's why this podcast isn't getting recorded till 10 at night on Monday to be able to be posted tonight. But let's get back into the zoophile plob. So, oh God, where do I even start with this? Somebody came across my FYP and was using something for Bad Dragon. I've talked to many times about how bad Bad Dragon is and the creators of it. To be clear, I'm not shaming people that use monster liver toys. There's nothing wrong with that. Bad Dragon's a whole different scenario, though. That company, most people that do buy monster liver toys are, into dark fantasy and thing. They don't actually want to do anything with, mystical creatures or anything like that. It's kind of like being attracted to Deadpool. Dude, Deadpool in the actual comics and the movies is deformed as hell. Poor dude is burnt up. Okay. That doesn't mean somebody wants to, mess around with burnt skin. It just means they like the character. But unfortunately, there is that percentage that is into actual animals, those sick, disgusting people that need to be put down like animals. And the owner of Bad Dragon, many years ago, he had made a website telling people how to do things with their pets. Like, he had a whole website telling you, and he apparently has a long history of doing stuff with his pets. Now, I understand the argument always comes about. People will be like, oh, but in some states it's legal to have sex with your animals if they're over a certain weight. That does not make it morally okay. That's still disgusting. The fact that that's a law is disgusting in general. The fact that somebody really sat down and was like, okay, what weight limit are we going to make it so that you can fuck your dog? Like, no, that's disgusting. It should be none at all. But yeah, there was somebody. But yeah, so Bad Dragon has that history. That video comes across my FYP, and somebody was like, oh, so you make this alternative so it's cheaper. And I'm like, hey, so maybe we also just don't support, bestiality companies, these companies that have horrible owners. And so with all the audacity, somebody came in and was like, maybe you shouldn't judge people based off who they buy from. You're buying from somebody who has sex with their pets. So, yeah, I'm judging. I'm judging very fucking hard, and you should be judged. And then their argument back when I was like, yeah, it's just good, because somebody else was like, oh, it couldn't have been that bad because they still have a company. Dude, Jimmy John's CEO got caught fucking a dolphin years ago, and Jimmy John still exists. Like, bad people exist and still get to run. Lily Tino is another one we've been on lately. They still have a platform. Chris Chan still has people following and worshiping them. The bad people... It's almost basically, if you want to be mega famous, like a celebrity level famous, you seem to have to be fucking a disgusting person or some shit. It's so disgusting how many people come out like that. But then their argument was, oh, but, they did that 6 or 7 years ago. Excuse me? I don't give a shit if it's been 6 years, 60 years. They fucking made a site on how to fuck your pets and was over here promoting bestiality. I'm not forgiving them. Like, why are we still shot? Their whole argument, they didn't even try to deny the guy did it. They just, like, the one guy was not even trying to deny the guy did it. He was basically admitted he knew he did it because he was like, yeah, but that was like 6 or 7 years ago, so it's fine. What are y'all drinking? What's in your water? Is it lead? Like, what is Agent Orange in the water? I don't know. What is in the water that y'all are, like, defending bestiality? To make it worse, this was on a furry post, and if you don't know, I'm helping my friend's daughter, with her first fursuit and everything. She's autistic, and this has been helping her be able to socialize by being in a costume and stuff. And it is so disturbing, the stuff that I've seen. We've talked about it on other episodes. Like, every time I go down this rabbit hole, more and more crap, man. More and more crap ends up making it so I need to bleach my eyes. I need a lobotomy at this point to unsee all the shit I've seen. Apparently, if you want to traumatize a furry, you just show them a cheese grater. I thought, so that's, oh God, don't eat, because it somehow gets worse. I don't know what, this is criminal level plobbing. Somebody made a photo. I kept seeing people being like, oh, if you do the cheese grater, if you want to traumatize a furry, show them a cheese grater. I'm like, what's that? Like, what? Is that like because within the anime fandom, we have the joke of like, oh, if you want to traumatize a cosplayer, show them a yaoi paddle. And I thought it was going to be something like that. No, it was, there's a picture out there somewhere of a cheese grater getting shoved up a furry's ass. I did not need to know about that. I did not need the graphic description that was given to me by somebody explaining where that meme came from. Lord, y'all, I don't even have words. It's just noises. Ew. What is going on with the dark sides of fandom? How does it get worse the deeper you go? Like, and there's so many of us who just want to enjoy fandom space, okay? And the plobs are like, no, let's see how bad we can make this. I have a story submission I actually need to record, that I'm going to go over some in here, because some of this I won't be able to cover on TikTok because of guidelines. But I have a story submission about 2020 Discord plobs. Oh God, the flashbacks just hearing 2020 Discord. Stories I've seen, the horrors I've seen. I was in one Discord a long time ago, but the submission that was sent in to me is several paragraphs. This person was in a Discord with two creators on TikTok. They didn't want me to use the name so that they don't get any backlash, so we made up some fake names for these plobs. But it was a plob couple. Oh God, I went and looked them up too, because I was like, why does that sound familiar? And I look up their usernames. Tell me why I could smell these motherfuckers through the TikTok. Like, I could smell it through my phone screen. I'm like, you don't shower, do you? You don't wipe your ass. I could tell. There was also some dirty, it looked like shit streaks. Like, when I looked these people up and I was looking at their videos, I'm looking at them. But then I started to notice things in the background, and it definitely looked, I'm praying it was dirt that I saw, because I zoomed in, I took a screenshot with zooming in, and I was like, please tell me that's dirt. Please tell me that's dirt, not a shit streak. But this person was in their fan base, because apparently they were one of those live streamers. This couple was, these plob couple. I don't know if you guys remember that, but during oh my gosh. Actually, I think it was 2021 is when it got real big, but it had started back in 2020. These live streamers who would do insane things, and they would just be live 24/7. There's still people who do that. That one chick haunts my dreams. Oh gosh, she used to do these really cringy live streams. And people knew about her. She's from my home state. And people were like, hey, remember her? And I was like, she looks familiar, but I can't place it. Yeah, it turns out she was one of the girls I slept with at Atmosphere when I was an active alcoholic, going through my screwing every woman I could phase, because everybody kept telling me asexual wasn't a thing, and that I was doing it with the wrong person. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it with as many women until I figure out the right person. Yeah, that was not a smart choice. 0 out of 10, don't recommend. Because, one day, one of the women you hook up with might end up being on TikTok Live doing some crazy, cringy stuff. But yeah, those live streams where people were doing all that. There was also ones that were doing the yes, yes, yum, yum, all that stuff. Yeah, those live streams. Apparently this couple was around during that and was constantly live. They apparently would make up these like really cringy OC characters and get super into it, and like they would crash out on their fans and their followers if anybody asked a question. They refused to stop pretending to be a character. They'd be so in character and then would go off on people if they asked them a regular question. Apparently this person had tagged, was the person who sent me the story had even tagged them, because they're apparently veterans also. God, why? Trifecta over here. They had tagged them about military creators and was trying to be nice and promote them and sent them to me, and these two plobs flipped shit on them, which is your first red flag. If you tag somebody in my videos and they flip out on you for it, that's your first red flag, because that's typically they've done some plob behaviors, and that is why they don't want to be tagged on my page, or they've done some chomo behaviors, one or the other. It's one thing if you don't like how much I talk and you're like, oh, you're just, I don't like women because they're yappy, but when they say they don't like my plob stories, suspicious. Or if they don't like me calling out predators, suspicious. Birds of a feather flock together. Speaking of, just so everyone's aware, if you get a message asking for money or something and pretending to be me, please block and report them. That is not me. That troll fucking pedophile supporting sicko group has now even made catfishing pages of me asking people for money for the domestic violence shelter, even though I will never DM somebody privately for that. I post the links for victims, and I raise money by like the creator fund on there, and I donated every. I go live showing me donating everything. I will never DM somebody asking for a donation. I mean, technically, I've DM'd makeup companies because we got that vanity for the DV shelter, and I wanted to get some makeup for those ladies to be able to, look nice for their job interviews or court, or if they just want to look nice, But those are makeup companies, like big companies like Tarte and stuff. I'm not DMing any personal people. It's actually kind of been funny watching them because they started the crappy. It's the same fucking group that tried to protect a predator last time, and now that I'm calling out Lily Tino, they're like, oh my gosh, Ribbon's lying. Lily Tino never did anything wrong, just like Tav never did anything wrong, or Crystal did anything wrong. Dude, Crystal got arrested. Tav's photos came out of them running the call, and Lily Tino, there's videos. Like, Lily Tino's a monster. Everybody knows that. But that same group always will try to discredit me and anybody else that speaks out against predators, because birds of a feather flock together, and they don't. They're protecting their own because they're supporters, and some of them are themselves. The one's literally dating somebody on the registry. The other one I still have on camera going, I don't care what he's guilty of, talking about a child murderer or pedophile. And I'm like, dude, he was convicted of murdering his own child and of CP. And you're over here like, I don't care what he was guilty of. He deserves respect. You want to respect him so bad? Go lay on his grave with him or something. I don't fucking know what to tell you, but I'm not respecting that. Nobody with any kind of morals is going to respect somebody like that. But I feel so bad for that follower. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. Just wanted to make sure, because please never DM. If anybody DMs you pretending to be me saying that, to send money or something, ignore them. If anybody DMs you being rude to you too, because that was another thing. I had incels who were making fake accounts and being rude and nasty to people to try to make me look bad to help cover for Lily Tino, because then they were like, look, Ribbon's being mean to people, and then, what Lily Tino did. All this bullshit trying to make Lily Tino good. I'm like, dude, that's not my account. The only accounts I have are the ones linked in my bio. I have my main TikTok. That's it. And then I have one backup, which is the Gamer Sugar Rush, which I can't even log into. I haven't been able to log into for a year. And there's a couple videos confirming that it's me on there. And then I have one Insta, which I barely remember to get on. I have the podcast, which I use Podbean to distribute everywhere. And then I have that one specific YouTube, which is where the podcast is. So yeah, if anybody's DMing you, fucking report and block that shit. Nope. I will never DM somebody for donations. And also, I would never message people nasty, rude stuff just to be an asshole. If I'm going to be an asshole, I'm going to do it publicly. I feel like I've made that pretty clear plus it's going to be somebody that deserves it. Like, I respond to comments being in videos being like, hey, so this is an incel, like that guy who was there. Oh my gosh, there was an incel earlier this week that came into the DMs and was threatening to rape elderly women and stuff. He was rage baiter. And they never have pictures of themselves, because they know anybody who makes nasty comments like that that's trying to rage bait or is just a piece of shit, they never have pictures of themselves, ever, because they are ashamed of their own damn behavior. They know what they're doing is wrong, and they don't want people in their real life to know who they are. We've actually found a few, though, and the good news, like, we've been able to... Hold on. I'm sorry, speaking of gross, I heard a fart from the other room. That's why I said hold on. Jesus Christ, what the hell? Everybody remember to make sure you're eating enough fiber, because holy shit, I should not have been able to hear that from the other room. Just for clarification, my walls are pretty soundproof, so the fact that I could hear, that is deeply concerning. I am so sorry to get sidetracked by that. Yes, just do not interact with don't even interact with somebody like that, because I got hacked years ago, so just in case, please don't even interact with anybody who's making accounts like that. Don't interact with rage bait either if you can. I know it's hard not to interact with assholes like that, but sometimes they'll do that shit just to get attention. That's what a lot of them do, like the rage baiters. Like the trolls that I've had to deal with for over a year now, they always make videos just rage baiting, trying to get me to react, because that's the only way they ever get views, is if I fucking react, or whoever they're bullshitting this week reacts, because they do it to other people too. It's not just me. Let's get back to the plobs couple, though. So this plob couple doing the live stuffs, harassing people in their comments, harassing their own fans, harassing mods, Here's my thing. They apparently had a whole Discord, and they had all these crazy 2020 like rules where they were telling people they weren't allowed to mention having any kind of medical condition because it could trigger somebody else, and they weren't allowed to talk about eating ever. Like, they couldn't be like, oh, I had a good meal today, because that could upset somebody. It reminds me of one of the rules that was sent to me. If you haven't seen the video where that person talked about how they were in a Discord chat, had over 70 rules in this server, and like one was like, oh, you can't post a picture of yourself if you're skinny, even if it's not like, and we're not talking about like pro Anna or anything like that, but just like in general, if you were a healthy size, you weren't allowed to post because it was considered triggering to people, and it says, oh, that's going to make people feel bad that they're not your size, and so, just wild shit. Discord 2020 was fucking hellscape. 2021 too. Discord in general can be kind of crazy, but back then was the worst. If you survived, you should get like a button. Everybody deserves a button that says I survived 2020 Discords if you survived that shit. Maybe I'll make some as like a fundraiser for the domestic violence shelter, and it's just buttons. Sell them for like $2, probably make it for $1, and then the rest can go to the DV shelter. Heck, the other day I saw a video on my FYP of someone admitting they were like, in 2020, I pretended to have DID on Discord servers to pretend to be interesting. And I'm like, so you just out here faking serious? What the heck? That's a weird thing to admit to. I mean, I'm glad you're admitting to it and not continuing to fake it. But at the same time, that's kind of crazy to just like be like, oh, by random lore drop on my FYP. I faked having, they're saying they faked having a condition. It's like, Jesus. I will never forget. I had a plob tell me they thought I had DID. And I had to like try. Oh gosh, they were mentally ill, and I was trying to be super nice as I could about it. Like, even when other people were harassing me, like this person, I was like, hey, please just leave them alone. They really have some mental health going on, because there's a point where they're talking to themselves in the video, and then they start talking to alters they've convinced themselves I have, even though I do not have DID. And I'm nothing against people with DID. Actually, I have a couple of friends who do have actual DID, not like that one person that was admitting to faking it, but dear God, it was just so awkward. This person went into a whole thing. It was like 40-minute long video after video after video of this fantasy world, talking to themselves too, and saying that they were a fairy and that their whole family was real fays. Not, to be clear, fays and fairies aren't the same thing, but like saying that they were fays and that they had special abilities they could talk to. And then they told me I had special abilities, like Doctor Who, and I need to combine universes. And I was like, okay. That is a prime example of what it was like to be on Discord in 2020. It's like when everybody was locked up in their house, the plobs were like, oh, everybody's locked up in their house too, so now it's not as weird that I live in my mom's basement, because everybody's living at home and can't leave. Now I can just rain havoc on other people by Discord. And I regret to inform you, if you survived 2020 Discord and you're thinking, I didn't have anybody crazy in my Discord, you might have been the plob. You might have been the plob. I'm sorry to tell you like this, but if you didn't have any plobs in your Discord servers in the 2020, unless it was like just you and a couple of close friends, you might have been the plob. You know, people talk about how bad things like Call of Duty and Fortnite lobbies and stuff get, but I am telling you, it was so much worse when everybody was stuck at home. Oh Lord, it was like it amped it up times 100. These guys yelling disgusting things, and not just guys, there's girls too that were doing it. Non-binary people, everybody, regardless of what was in their pants, there was so much plobbery going on with the so many people also talking about how, well, since they were trapped at home, they weren't showering for weeks at a time. Even if you're sitting at home, yeah, you might be able to get away with like not showering for a day or two, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be showering for weeks at a time. The amount of people, I've even seen people confessing to this when they were talking about doing like 2020 confessions, where it's a trend for a while. They're confessing to how they would just not bathe for weeks because, oh, but we're all stuck at home. It's not like I'm going to go see anybody else, so why does it matter? It doesn't matter that you're not going to see any. You shouldn't only be showering because you're going to see somebody. You should be showering because it's the hygienic thing to do. Like, oh gosh, I'll never forget. There was a live stream years ago. I think it was like the beginning of 2021. Stuff had just started to open up. And there was this guy that came on and he was talking about freaking World of Warcraft. And I was like, oh, I'm into World of Warcraft. He's talking about different stuff, World of Warcraft wise. And then all of the sudden, he's like, yeah, I have to go back to in-office work finally. And he starts talking about how he had finally showered. Now, he actually didn't look that dirty in his video, but he was also doing chest up, so I couldn't see that much. But then he starts talking about how he's sad that he's going to miss out on all this time since the pandemic. He had been working from home and was able to run World of Warcraft on a separate computer. Like he had work on one and World of Warcraft on the other. Which, by the way, if anybody knows how to set up dual monitors, I think the way I usually set them up is not working for some reason. I don't know if it's the adapter or what, but yeah, I recently got a new setup. Nothing too fancy, but, enough to be able to do work on one and gaming on the others. But this guy was talking about, he was going to have to cut down so many hours because he said he played between 8 to 10 hours a day of World of Warcraft during the pandemic. And he said he had taken his first full shower in a while. And I'm like, God, no, this is going to just get worse, isn't it? And then it got worse because he goes into depth about how since the pandemic started, he was showering once or twice a week, but he said he was taking hoe showers, which, God. First of all, the phrase is hoe baths and Navy showers. You said it wrong, my guy. But he said hoe showers. And if you don't know, that's where you take a rag and washcloth in the sink and wash your intimate bits and your underarms, and that's about it. And that's supposed to be for emergencies or quick cleanups or something, not for you to be regularly doing. That's for, if there's a situation where you don't have water, or you're not going to have time because something very important, because by the way, time management, not having time because of video game stuff is not having time. That's you choosing to be gross. But he admitted he had not during the whole pandemic. So we're talking a fucking year, not taking a real shower. And he said he finally took a full shower to get ready to go back to the office. And he was talking about how layers and layers of gray skin was coming off. And how he had to Google what that was because he thought he was like, it was so weird. It was like my skin was shedding like a lizard. Sir, oh my God, that's not okay. And to be clear, if you don't know what that is, when you exfoliate, it is normal to have dead skin, the gray skin, come off when you're exfoliating. You're not supposed to exfoliate every single shower. It's every other one is when you're supposed to exfoliate. Or some people just do exfoliating once a week, which is fine, as long as you're bathing more than once a week. But, the exfoliating, you get the scrubs and everything. But this guy was not exfoliating. He was just wiping regular soap, and layers of his nasty skin was coming off. My thing is, how did you not feel gross? Because when he was talking about this in his live stream, he was talking about it like it was just another day. He almost thought it was cool. He was like, yeah, it was like a lizard. No, you're not a lizard. You're a human being. You should not have that much dead skin just peeling off of you. And the only time you should be peeling is basically if you have a sunburn or something, then you'll peel. But to just be peeling off gray skin because in layers and layers and layers because you didn't shower during the entirety of the pandemic, how? I understand there were situations people were getting depressed and, because they're not leaving their house and everything, and sometimes they, skip 1 or 2 showers every, only showering a couple times every couple of days or something. But what do you mean you didn't shower the entire pandemic? What do you mean people were just going around not showering for weeks at a time? When I was active duty and we would go out to the field and we didn't have access to showers, I always felt so gross by them. It was one of the first things I would do was run to go take a shower when we got back, because you go out there for 30 days and you're using wet wipes and having to take little Navy shower, little hoe baths and shit, with the water buffalo and everything, getting rags wet so you can do that, or little stuff like that, or even not going out in all that dirt. If people want to say, oh, that's biased because you're out in dirt and everything, well, even when I have had, so for example, one of the times I was hospitalized, I was in an overflow bay, and it was a Crohn's flare-up. I was in an overflow bay, and they did not, because the hospital was so busy, they didn't have a room for me, an actual room, so they put me in an overflow bay, and there was one shower on the whole floor, and it was basically impossible to get to, and I was also super sick. And they didn't get me into a regular room until the 3rd day I was there. And I had not had a shower in 2.5, almost 3 days at that point. And I remember feeling so disgusting and gross and going and showering. How do you do that for an entire year? I also want to know why so many people that play World of Warcraft fit into the World of Warcraft South Park episode stereotype. Like, is it even a stereotype at this point? Is the South Park episode a stereotype, or is it just realistic? South Park has went from being like a dark humor show to just being realistic. Like, it reminds me of that audio on TikTok where it's like, listen, it's a good joke. It's a great joke even, but like, we already have Simpsons out here predicting the future. Starting to think that South Park might be out here predicting it too. Speaking of jokes, just a friendly reminder that taking out an adult item that was that was up your ass and sticking it on the Magic Gathering table at the card shop is not a funny joke. That was one of the first stories I ever told on here, and I mentioned this last podcast that I had a friend who, well, they're acquaintance. I just said friend to make it easier. They're a well-known acquaintance. It's nothing against them. I just haven't got a chance to like hang out with them one-on-one. But we know each other from groups, and they slept with that plob from that story. They were able to confirm it. Oh my gosh, we were able to confirm that it was him, and I feel so sick for this person because the guy still thinks it's funny. The plob has seen my story time, has seen your guys. I think that video has like hundreds of, not thousands of comments of everybody being like, hey, this is disgusting and gross. Like, why would you do this? And he's still out here telling people about it, thinking that it was a funny little thing. If you do not know what we're talking about, I'll sum it up real quick. I had a guy who went into the card shop, and if you don't know how Magic Gathering works, you need tokens. He was playing Commander, Magic, Friday Night Magic, or was it Monday Night Magic? I can't remember which day of the week it was, but he was at Magic the Gathering night at his local card shop, 45, not even a whole hour for me. And he did not have any tokens, and instead of doing the normal thing where people roll up a little piece of paper or like use some change in their pocket or something, he went to the bathroom, pulled out the vibrating Bluetooth butt plug that he had, and it was a huge butt plug. It was not just a little one. This thing was like a 6-inch butt plug. Pulled it out, wiped it off with a paper towel, and then put it on his placemat to try to use as a token. And he took a picture and thought it was the funniest thing ever. It was not funny. It was disgusting. Also, people pointed out that this is a Bluetooth device. Like, I didn't even realize it at first until somebody pointed it out. That is a Bluetooth one, which means he was most likely using it, turning on the settings and everything, out at the card shop without any kind of consent from other people or anything, just chilling with the butt plug in, and then went to the bathroom, pulled it out, wiped it off, and tried to use it as a token. And to make it worse, he plays a brony deck, and it's like, this is why the regular My Little Pony fans can't catch a break, because, and I'm not into My Little Pony, but I do know some about it, because I've met people that are, and the bronies that ruin it. I think it was Fluttershy. Was it Fluttershy? Or no, it was Applejack. Applejack was the one, his commanding pony. And she is sitting right beside this butt plug in the picture. And apparently the the card mat that he was using had like as a certain VR VTuber or whatever that he likes. And somebody was like, hey, that's supposed to be like that VTuber's like pedo bait or some shit. I'm like, oh god, it just keeps getting worse. But yeah, he still thinks it's funny despite everybody, on that video being like, hey, so this is disgusting. Nobody agrees with him, and he still thinks it's funny. And we know he still thinks it's funny because, that friend, acquaintance, whatever, hooked up with him by accident. He said he met him on a dating app, that he gave off the typical mean twink vibes and stuff, but he, it was a one-night stand, and it wasn't until after they had intercourse that they were having a conversation, and the guy was saying, oh yeah, I'm the funny guy, I'm the comedian at my local card shop, and my acquaintance made the horrifically bad decision to ask, oh, what do you mean, what makes you the funny guy at the card shop? And then the plob told him the story of that, and like was laughing, and was like, yeah, it's so funny, I pulled a butt plug out, and sir, what do you mean? If I had just engaged in coitus with somebody, and then they told me about how they pulled a dirty butt plug out of their ass and tried to, like, use it as a token at Magic Gathering night with other people, like, the way I would have fucking just walked over the window and jumped out. Please don't, like, take your life over that. That's me making a joke. But, like, the fact that he told me, the fact that he was like, oh, yeah, I think I hooked up with that plob. I'm so mortified. Bro, you could not have gotten that information. If I had found out that I had accidentally hooked up with somebody like that, I would have never told anybody. I am so glad that I didn't hook up with his ass because, yeah, I met him on an app too, like a while back and stuff. And we were just having a conversation, and then pretty quickly he started saying some like really cringy, really weird like plob stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. And he was also trying to like love bomb me and shit at first. It was weird. And I just got to the point where I was like, okay, this is going to be like a friendly, let's just be friends. And then he just kept escalating, and then that shit happened. And I was like, okay, now you're just going to end up being a fucking funny story to tell my friends in the future. And now it was a funny story that ended up being on the Blobcast. But I feel so bad. I feel so bad for this acquaintance for like not finding out until after they had sex that he was a blob. Also, real quick before I forget, I do know that once again I still have not gotten the Christian video up. I am so sorry. I even bought CapCut to be able to put the video side by side. Because I just got a message about that. Somebody asking. It's a Christian video. The rest video was up still. I got the CapCut so I could put it side by side. I recorded my reaction and everything. But CapCut will not freaking, like, and I'm hoping that with the new computer it'll do it, but it will not load it. It keeps saying, like, the video's too, like, it says it's going to load, and then I click it, and it just takes me to a new project that's empty no matter what I do. So I'm going to have somebody who's hopefully going to be helping me with this. That way I can get that fixed, because, yeah, I do apologize for taking so long to get that out. Because it's like, oh, I finally have the equipment. I'm going to be able to do it. I recorded all my reaction, and now CapCut's like, fuck you. So just wanted to pop that in real quick because I just got another message about that. I've had so many people bringing up the Chris Chan thing again lately just because Lily Tino is, Chris Chan 2.0. I feel bad because I've been promising this video for months and I haven't finally filmed and done and I just can't get the stupid editing to work. I am so sorry. Like I said, I now have a new setup, so I'm going to be downloading CapCut tonight and hopefully be able to get that fixed so that it can go up. I also want to clarify, if you have seen the videos, I have had a couple of people, they tag me and then they block me, which pisses me off so badly. So there's a couple people who have tried to use my videos to promote transphobia and say that me exposing Lily is proof that everybody should be afraid of all trans people, and that is not the case. Lily Tino does not represent the trans community. That is the whole point in us pointing it out. There's a whole point in a lot of the queer community pointing out, that she's a piece of shit and that we do not stand for. She is not a part of our community. She's just a fucking bitch. Predator, piece of crap. So please, if you see any of those videos, report them, because yeah, I've had multiple people who have tried to be like, look, Ribbon did an interview, tag me, and then block me and be like, see, this is proof that we need to be afraid of all trans people. I'm like, that is not at all what happened there. It's the same thing with freaking gamers. I've had people do that with the plobs, be like, oh look, this is why anybody who plays video games sucks, and that is not true. There's no, there are people, which is what the plobs came from. It's calling out people, the problems within our community, the calls coming from inside the house. We need to address it. Is these people who ruin gaming and ruin cards, and ruin gaming of all kinds, video games, tabletop cards, and by these behaviors and calling them out to, not only just call them out, but also to prove that we do not stand behind them. We want them out of the community. There are plenty of normal gamers. There's plenty of us that enjoy Magic the Gathering, and we don't leave shit streaks or bring toys out of our asses. There's plenty of people who enjoy Warhammer without sexualizing it. There's, adults. There's some adults that enjoy My Little Pony without being creepy about it. Or shoving toys up their ass, which that is another story time that was sent into... Lord, I can't unhear this one. And this was sent to me over a voice message, so they gave great detail. Somebody DM'd me on Instagram, and they were like, I have a plob story that also goes with your trauma ER stories. And I'm like, oh God, oh no. I'm gonna regret playing this, aren't I? And I did, but I'm gonna share it with you guys we're sharing the trauma. There is an ER worker, and she's currently still a RN at this particular ER. She's been working there for over a decade, and she, a few years back, had a plob come in. She said, first of all, he smelled like rotted pizza. She said it was a very specific smell, rotted pizza. And he came in, oh God, and he had something lodged in his rectum. Where's badge 502 when you need him? I need you to come tell badge 502, please somehow magically see this and tell people not to shove these things up their ass. He had a pony figure stuck up his ass. She said to make it worse is he doesn't wipe his ass either. So like when the patient comes in and they had to have him lay on his stomach and they were trying to like extract this fucking pony, they did a scan and everything. They could see it lodged up there, but it wasn't too far back. So they were trying to like just extract it without surgery. And she said the amount of shit that was on this guy's ass. She said, like, it was literally on his cheeks and everything. Like, when they separated, they had to clean up his ass to be able to pull the pony out. Oh, my God. It was so gross. She said they were able to extract it without, surgery. But all I can think about is... It's bad enough it's bad enough that you're clearly not wiping your ass, but you're shoving the My Little Pony up there. She said she does not remember which pony it was. She said it was a purple one. It was like a purple one that came out of her ass. Hold on, we're going to Google this. Okay, according to Google, the purple My Little Pony is Rarity. Oh gosh, poor Rarity, poor girl. Being shoved up a brony's ass. It's important to note that this guy was also in his mid-40s, and he did in fact want he wanted it back, by the way. He asked for them to let him keep his pony when they got it out. Oh God, I am deeply regretting Googling this because I'm looking at the picture. Like, you know how Google automatically pull up, it'll pull up images at the top when you Google something on the computer before it shows the search, and I'm looking at this, and the second photo, if you Google purple My Little Pony, the second photo is a little pony doll, and I'm just, why would you stick that up your ass? What did that pony ever do to you? Oh God. If Toy Story is real, we're all fucked because the toys are going to come after the entire human race because of these motherfuckers. There needs to be a study done on people that do this. Because I'm not talking about kink. I'm not talking about people that are into pegging or the male G-spot. That's fucking been discovered. That's done. People know about that, right? People know about the prostate stuff. I'm talking about the ones that stick shit like My Little Ponies or anime figures. There was story times about the guy who stuck Barbie shoes up his nose and then Barbie up his ass. And those people, there needs to be a study done on these people. Because I just... want to know what the thought process there was. What was the thought process? Like, let me get this straight. You won't touch your ass to wash it, but you'll touch it to shove a My Little Pony figure up it? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But I fucking Christ. Some part of me doesn't even want it to make sense because I don't want them to have a logical fucking explanation and try to justify it because that's probably what would end up happening. But at the same time, I want to know what goes through their head. They're like, yeah, this is a good idea. That doesn't even seem comfortable. That doesn't. Like... Look, I'm looking at this photo, and it's, like, got little legs, and the hair, oh, God, like, it's got hair. These pony figures have hair. Like, what the fuck? Why did you think that would feel good? Can we please just stop shoving inanimate objects up our asses? Like, they make toys for that. They make things for that. You don't need to be shoving random shit up your ass. Like, there's gotta be some sort of defect or something going on in somebody's brain to do that stuff. And the people that also like want to see that, so it blows my mind because I follow this one creator. She's kind of funny. I've never seen, you could not pay me to go look at that stuff. I'm scared, but she's funny when she tells her stories about it. She's the one with the butter churner that stuck like a butter churner up her ass with Texas Roadhouse butter in the bathroom. She puts a Bose speaker up there and then will like play songs on it. While on TikTok. I mean, obviously she's not showing the actual speaker in her butt, but like you can hear the echoing and stuff. And she gets paid a lot of money to do that kind of stuff. It couldn't be me. A girl, somebody please come take my morals because I saw how much she made one time and I'm like, damn. I could open up an entire second domestic violence shelter and the Battle Buddies Crisis Center with the money that if I just lost my morals and started shoving weird shit up my ass, but I just can't do it. I'm sorry. Like I said, if Toy Story ever becomes a real thing and these toys come to life, humans are all doomed because we're all going to have to pay the consequences of these motherfuckers' actions. These toys are going to come and try to kill all humans, being like, nah, you traumatized us by all these people shoving us up their asses and shit. Nope, we're all fucked. We're all fucked. It's bad enough everybody keeps falling for the AI stuff. Like that AI sliced mayonnaise. Lord, if it didn't make so much money for the Texas flood shelters, because I think it's be like $100 for them, I would fucking take that video down because it's so awkward that nobody understood it was a prank. Like, even when I came forward and was like, hey, this is a prank, a bunch of people did it. The sliced mayonnaise isn't real, it's AI. People are still, thinking it's real. But Lord, fuck AI overlords. I made sure to say please and thank you to Alexa, so I think I'm good on that. I just think toys are going to be very vengeful if they come to life. They're going to just kill us all. They're going to be like, fuck no, humans had their chance, and they did crazy shit with us, so we're just going to kill them all. I mean, how many stories have we had come in now about plobs doing nasty stuff with dolls and toys, like those anime figures with the saran wrap shit, with the saran wrap in them so he could jerk off on them. It didn't ruin the quality of them. Okay, we gotta cut talking about the dolls for this session. I can't talk anymore about the freaking figures and the nastiness. I'd like to keep down my lunch. Good Lord, and the amount of shit that we could go on and on about all these stories that have been sent in about people being inappropriate with figures. There is some talk now. Now, there's some states who actually want to ban figures of underage characters, which I know a lot of people are like, oh, but what if, I just like the character. Here's the thing, I feel like the bad outweighs the good in that situation, of people who just like to collect figures. Like, I like to collect adult figures, not like that, but like I like Miku, Hatsune, I've got my Shigaraki shelf. I've never done anything inappropriate with them, but I kind of can get behind them wanting to ban figures of underage anime characters, because, yeah, most people that are buying those underage anime characters are doing gross things with them. I'm not saying all. There are some people that just like to have a figure of like every single character in a show or something, but it's way too many that are doing this nasty shit. We almost had a special guest for a moment there because the dogs came upstairs. That's why I had to pause and go let them back downstairs. Telling you, I've talked about it before, my one dog is too smart for her own good. She knows how to unlatch stuff. She will unlatch the gate, and next thing you know, she'll be upstairs like, oh, hey. And it's like, you ain't supposed to be up here. That's why it was latched in the first place, and you just acting like you didn't just be bad and unlatch it. But yeah, I kind of see where they're going with making these laws. And I always see, oh my gosh, the only bad thing is about that is it's not going to completely stop people from getting them, those gooners. These gooner plobs will just order them from Japan. I've met so many working at GameStop and working at the card store and working at game stores in general, who will ask about special ordering, certain figures. And we've had story submissions too of store owners, store workers talking about these submissions of getting like people asking, oh, can you order this and then it be a dirty, not safe for work figure of an underage character. And sadly, while if a state were to ban being able to sell those, these gooners would probably just buy them online like a lot of them do. Because there's a lot. I had a guy flip out on me at GameStop one time because I was like, we can't order anything like that. We can order games that aren't, at this store or whatever, merch or whatever that's not in location, but we can't order stuff like that. And he threw a fit and was like, well, I'll just order from Japan like I usually do. And then he gave this speech about, like, I'm an Elite Pro member, blah, blah, and so fucking what? A lot of people are. I mean, not anymore because a lot of people buy online, but back in the day, a lot of people were Elite Pro, Elite members. And one argument I see a lot with the guys who do that, where they order over from Japan, because they will even... God, I had one guy who was explaining, he was in the card shop, and this is not when I was working at, I was there with a friend, we were playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I overheard this guy having this conversation about this, talking about how he would, like, have to translate, because he wouldn't even learn Japanese, he would have to use, like, all this Google Translator and everything, to be able to order, and how he had gotten a credit card specifically, like, he had specifically gotten a credit card just so he could order stuff over there because of, translating the money and everything that comes with having to do that. The site wasn't even in English, and he would talk about the same argument that I hear so many motherfuckers like this do, of how the illegal age of consent over there is a lot younger. A lot of them say that it's 12 or 13 or 14. I don't know what the actual age of consent is over there. I know it's younger. I don't fucking want to know because I'm not a fucking pedophile like those fuckers. But they always want to argue about the age of consent, and it's so nasty. I saw that earlier this week too, and I'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, though a lot of these gooners that want the plobs who order these figures from overseas because they can't get them here because they're not safe for work versions of, little kid anime characters like Eri from My Hero and shit. They'll argue age of consent. They'll be like, but over there it's age of consent. That's disgusting. If you are having to argue age of consent on something, you're in the wrong. just like I got a comment earlier this week, and I've actually screenshotted it because I want to do a video response on TikTok of this where I'll flash it for like 2 seconds, flash the photo of the screenshot, since, screenshots don't like to stay up on TikTok. Just really grateful that Lexi was able to keep hers up of the Latino stuff. But yeah, had somebody come in and was arguing about age of consent because it was a video I posted a while back about this woman who had escaped a groomer, and how she had shared her story of domestic violence and everything, of how she had gotten with him when she was 18 and he was like in his mid-30s. And of course, one of those motherfuckers come in and is like this 40-something-year-old man, because I was able to find his profile picture, because he didn't have a profile picture on his TikTok, but he did have it on his Instagram, which was the exact same handle, because he didn't bother to have separate handles, and he had his Instagram link, so I was able to find him in like 2 seconds. And he's mid-40s, maybe early 50s dude, trying to, but they're of legal age, they're both consenting adults, you're being a judgy bitch, because I pointed out how disgusting it was. And it's like, dude, if you have to argue age of consent, that you're in the wrong. You know what you're in the wrong. That's what they call legal pedophiles. So legal pedophiles are the ones that will wait until they turn 18, but they start grooming early. They know what they're doing is wrong, but they'll wait until they're 18 so they don't face any legal trouble, because they're not over here, not doing stuff to children because they have morals. They're not doing stuff to children because they don't want to go to prison, because they know what happens to pedophiles in prison. Which, once again, I still say that we take away, instead of, we want to save all these tax dollars, instead of having funding for segregated units and stuff to help, protect pedophiles, we just put them out in gin pop, and then whoever takes out the pedophile gets time off their sentence, or gets a special reward or some shit, gets extra yard time, or gets some soups and candies from the fucking shop, which commissary, whatever you want to call it. I'm just saying, like, that would be my vote. That's my vote of what we do for them. Save the tax dollars and take out the problem. I also feel like that would motivate a lot of sick pedophiles not to do this nasty things that they do, because they know that not only they're going... Because I've seen interviews where they'll interview these sickos, and they'll be like, yeah, my state segregates chomos, so I didn't have to worry about getting hurt if I got caught, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you, motherfucker. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Global warming is real, so pedophiles should not do the world a favor and stop wasting perfectly good air. Oh, somebody brought that up again this week. They're like, somebody was trying to, like, make up shit about me or slander me to cover up for Lily Tino, trying to make me seem like I was a bad person and not to listen to me. And their argument was, Ribbon got somebody to take their own life. For context, the person they're referring to, which is more proof that the person spreading, that's a pedophile defender. When I was a teenager, a pedophile, and I've told this story many times before, and this is how this person knows about this, there was a pedophile that had done stuff to my friend. I was a teenager at the time. They had done stuff to my friend when she was a kid. He didn't even spend the full decade in there that he was supposed to. He got out on technicality and shit. That's why he was only in there for a few years. And when he got out, he moved into the neighborhood near her house with a bunch of kids in the neighborhood. And what drove him to finally take his own life was me and a group of us. It was a bunch of us, including a bunch of adults and stuff, went around town. Had the coffee place, the little coffee shop that had a printer where you could print mass amounts of stuff. Back then, actually printed these off for free, and we just printed his record off and was going around town and making sure everybody knew, and that he couldn't get a job, because we made sure every single place that he'd go, people would like follow him on the bus and just pass out flyers of his criminal record showing, hey, like, this guy, this is what he was locked up for. And he eventually ended up taking his own life because he couldn't get a job and because he was about to get evicted and stuff. So I did not directly cause that, but also I will never be ashamed of what I did by informing people of what he did, because that's what we did. We literally just went around showing flyers. So that's what that person's referring to, which, once again, this person knows the full story. That's why they were trying to spread that. So yeah, buddy, all that person did, all that troll did was tell everybody they're a pedophile supporter by trying to make me seem like a bad guy for informing people that this guy was a registered sex offender that had harmed multiple kindergarten girls. It's very sus, weird behavior to be upset at somebody for informing strangers that somebody's got a history and a record of doing bad things. It's a little weird to not want people to know that, don't you think there, bud? That's why I always tell people context is important. If anybody ever says Oh, context isn't important. Run. Run, 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 run. Context is always important. And if somebody is saying context is not important to whatever they're talking about, that means they're about to try to manipulate you or try to twist the story or whatever, and they don't want you to know the context because the context is always important. Only bad people will tell you the context is not important. It's because they're about to either lie or they're about to manipulate the situation to try to make themselves seem like a victim or whatever the case may be. But yeah, no good person is ever going to say context isn't important. I am going to have to go ahead and cut this a little bit short. Oh, what happened to my mic? It done moved on me. I'm going to have to cut this a little bit short. I do apologize. It's just a few minutes. Once again, so much going on with the wreck. My dog's still doing her refeeding treatment, and then my surgery, and then the wreck situation, and now my friend being in the hospital and having her kids here. There's so much happening. I am so exhausted. I also have a couple friends from other states that are going through some things that I've been having to help with them. So my phone, oh my gosh, it's like every single time I look at it, it's got 99 plus notifications and freaking 30 texts and all these missed calls, and it's constant. I am constantly responding to people all day long. I'm hoping that the person, Hayden, that I was talking about having on because he wanted to share some of the stuff, and then the other person who wanted to talk about autistic hygiene within the gaming community too. I'm hoping to have them on Thursday, if not at least one of them by Thursday, to get that set up. But I'm going to try to get that worked out. I apologize for the delay, and we are going to figure out this cap cut because you guys have got to see this freaking body cam footage of Chris Chan. It's so much insanity. Like, it just keeps getting worse every single moment. You're like, how does Chris Chan just get worse by the moment? But she does. So as always, everybody, make sure you're staying hydrated. Make sure you're staying safe. Make sure you're washing your ass, please. Please stop being gross. Wipe your butt after you poop, too. It doesn't make you gay to wipe your butt. I don't know why people keep saying that. That's gross. So, remember, keep some Febreze on you to keep the plobs away. Remember, if a plob gets too close to you, just show them a bar soap and they'll run, I promise. And as always, I am a Kindle with interchangeable accessories for their pleasure.